Kusangpo and welcome to Bhutan This Week. I'm Sharab Zangmo and in this week's top stories. The Asian Development Bank rates Bhutan as the best performing country in 2012. The State of the Nation report records an average of 8.8% economic growth in the last 5 years. The Asian Development Bank has rated Bhutan as the best performing country in 2012 for the efficient implementation of projects and activities and the government's capacity to utilize funds effectively. This was revealed by the Vice President of ADB on Wednesday.
Speaking to the media, the Vice President of the Asian Development Bank said Bhutan's performance has been very impressive. He added such rating by the Asian Development Bank will boost the credibility of Bhutan in the world financial market.
In ADB, we have a performance-based allocation of financial resources. Now Bhutan is rated the best performer, so you can imagine that donors will be more willing to allocate more resources to the country. I also reported to the Prime Minister that it's a win-win situation. We supported the government and the people together to do good projects. And you, the country and the people, by doing good projects, you also contribute to the good reputation of Asian Development Bank. We are a bank. A bank needs to have good clients. So Bhutan is a very good client.
Bhutan joined the Asian Development Bank in 1982. So far, ADB has approved over $381 million in loans and grants, $50 million in technical assistance, and about $11 million in project grants from Japan Fund for Poverty Reduction for Bhutan. The ADB's Vice President also called on Prime Minister Lenchin Jimmy Waitinle earlier today.
The Prime Minister Jimmy Waitinle said the growth rate of the country's economy has increased significantly in the last 5 years. Lenchin, while presenting the State of the Nation report in the Parliament, said from 5.7% GDP growth in 2008, the economic growth rate increased to an average of about 8.8%. The International Monetary Fund reveals Bhutan's economic growth as the fourth fastest in the world.
Presenting the State of the Nation report, Lenchin said one of the pledges of the Druk Pinsum Sokpa was an economic growth rate of 9%. He said it was to achieve self-reliance through just and equitable growth. Lenchin said despite bleak global economic scenario with economic recession in the world, the government has worked towards achieving the target.
ngachegi penjurgi te bomsede te terbum ngapchu ngadu imbe se shunila te digule nitong chuchilu te gepchu jadugulu ke chuchi se shunila te indigira barora te digulu ngachegi tento to bedigibe chasha masu se shuni chasha masu mene gachima sochen te jigu papdige bebodalu real GDP ko kyaudalu te ngomade kajachi onga didato ngachegi tente bedigibe la mishibe se shunila 이루에 다 ngachegi per capita mi reregi top sedela onku mi reregi top se on sedela kajachigu kedego sochen da yupchi da dollar bochen mi reregi top sede sumtongulu kedi se shunila.
Lenchin also said that this has helped the government in bringing down the poverty rate from 23.2% to 12% within 5 years. The rural poverty rate was also significantly reduced from about 31% in 2007 to 16.7% in 2012.
롱아이기 린로 때 동섭날로 유비기 미디 야탕급도 없지 뭐하진 때 콩로 벽을 내셔 두라 아니를 땐디기베 뉴사 쟁기 레림 마치기 카 두글로 사남 깨보들 드님베 아니 듬디 마치기 때 미슬기 톨레베디기베 동서구 되는 사기인 있을 수 있는라 대대세 아니 카 듬디 레리기 톨레베디기베 죽대 가데베 되는가 대세 계신 게 베디기베 때가 저기 인식이 쇼크드날로 유 있을 수 있는라 다니기 타말로 concept nga chege lade ta chinga ge shui lokme imaga tam sanu chade lamimaga amsi sai sai 달리 대저라고 추임마가 돼서 가라진 베이 타말로 때다 돈셉기 유풍기 강일대 마체기 숨추 소치레 주두다 사 등을 팝다두 세슈니라 대nga 체레기 mikdunle rawale gewigi donda dubsudu se슈니
Lynchen also said, while the country's economic prosperity has been tremendous, it is not at the expense of the country's environment. He said the forest cover was expanded from 72.5% to 81% and protected areas to 51%. Sonam Hamo for PBS News.
Renew and the National Commission for Women and Children welcomed the Parliament's endorsement of the Domestic Violence Prevention Bill last Friday, calling it a huge milestone in the fight against domestic violence.
The decision comes at an important point when most of the agencies, such as Renew and the National Commission for Women and Children, are uncertain of how to deal with cases of varied domestic violence in the country. In the absence of legal framework which plays a crucial role in preventing and protecting victims or survivors, challenges were common.
Irrespective of the changes to what was initially submitted, I think the most important thing is having an act in itself. Having an act, it first of all provides standards of dealing with cases of domestic violence, standards of protecting the victims or survivors of domestic violence, and standards of preventing cases of domestic violence. At the same time, it gives us a platform to draft standard operating procedures, to draft, to formulate rules and regulations, to formulate implementation plans.
Sharing the similar triumph, Renew, an organization that works in empowering women and girls in the country, says this affirmative law has given them a legal teeth.
Having a rule of law is very important because in the absence of that, a democratic society, people interpret their rights in their own favor. So having a legislation will at least standardize what's right and what's wrong.
As per records with Renew, 98% of victims of domestic violence are women, and over half of women population in the country accept domestic violence. Renew says physical abuse like wife and house helper battery is the common type of abuse in the country. Sonam Phunso for PBS News.
The findings of the study to determine if the cracks on the wall of Trongsa-zong and the Ta-zong were caused by the blast at the Mangdechu hydropower project dam construction revealed that the blast did not cause the cracks.
The 2-week-long study was carried out in December after cracks were noticed on the walls of Trongsa-zong and the Ta-zong. Seismographs were placed around the zong and Ta-zong to measure the velocity of the blast being carried out at the Mangdechu hydroelectric project dam construction sites. The National Institute of Rock Mechanics from India that carried out the study said the blast at dam site did not trigger the seismographs and that the velocity of the blast had not exceeded the threshold limit.
Main recommendation is to limit explosive usage to 125 kg per delay. But during the course of the study, they were here for 2 weeks and they collected data during those 2 weeks. They had instruments placed at the Ta zone and also at the main zone. And based on analysis of those data, they concluded that that is based on 2 weeks collection of data, that the peak particle velocity did not exceed the threshold limit of 2 millimeter per second, and the air overpressure did not exceed 133 decibels, the threshold limit decibels. So during the course of the study, what has been said is that these levels were not exceeded.
However, the glasses placed in the walls of Zong have cracked. Final take. Glasses like this were placed on the walls of the Trongsa-zong last December to monitor any movements on the wall. If they break, it is an indication that the wall will tremble. And one of the glasses had broken, confirming the movements in the wall, but it has not been yet established if the tremble was caused by blast at Mangdechu hydropower project dam site, as is being and this has left the Dzongkhag administration worried.
As mentioned in my previous two letters, I have requested them to install seismic meter in and around the zone so that the intensity of the blast and the vibration can be measured. This was done because now the diversion tunnel is almost through, and then the water might be diverted, and when the surface clearing and surface blasting happens, then the intensity might increase. So just to make sure that the zone doesn't further develop hairline cracks, I have requested that.
The management of Mangdishu hydroelectric project said they are in the process of procuring instrument to measure the velocity and the strength of the blast.
To monitor the vibrations during the course of construction, I think it's important that we have an instrument in place near the zone and other important structures so that can see that the threshold limits are not exceeded. So there is a plan, and I've been told that the procurement process is on, and further improvements would be to lessen the use of detonating codes. It outlines precautions to be taken by the contractor. So in essence, what we will do is we follow the contract, the provisions in the technical specifications, and also the recommendations we have received through the GP from there.
He added, surface blasting can cause major vibrations in the future, and said strict measures will be put in place to monitor this. The contract agreement between the dam construction contractor, JP, and the Mangdishu hydroelectric project clearly mentions that the responsibility of any damages to life and property lies with the contractor. The detailed project report that was prepared in 2007 to study the impact of blastings on the zone also clearly states that the use of explosives should be limited to 200 kilograms to ensure the velocity of the blast are less than 2 millimeters per second. Apart from zone, few residential houses have also developed cracks. Sonam Tobge, a building owner, said the crack appeared out of nowhere in a short span of time.
아치치 배우치 나치기 인주 피자 몰라 때다 펜답딘 때다 그치로 마치르기 개합로렘베 디베베 도롱 아치기 아치치 디베다 버진 도로 같이 온다가 생각사탄베 마치기 디 미충국이 셈 중국소베 때 아네베샤데비 때 다리베던데 아치치 마수지라 배워달로 때다 아니 공기 아치치 슈마 밥수집에 잡아진 데 마치 종로베로
The hairline cracks on the walls of Tazong and Trongsazong were spotted a couple of months ago. The dam site of the Mangdishu hydroelectric project lies just 1.6 kilometers below the zone. Surjaman Thapa, BBS News, Trongsa.
The National Food Testing Laboratory in Yusupang becomes the first laboratory in the country to receive accreditation to test and certify food and check if quality meets international standards.
With the awarding of accreditation certificate to the National Food Testing Laboratory today, the laboratory has been certified to test 5 categories of food products. They are processed fruit and vegetables, cereals products, confectionery and bakery products, tea and drinking water. The presence of an accredited laboratory in the country also means assurance of quality of the Bhutanese food products intended for export.
This accreditation ISO 17025, which is the general requirements for the testing and competence of testing and calibration laboratories, it is very important, and it is one of the internationally recognized accreditation systems which would help facilitate trade trade, because once we issue the test result from our lab, it will be internationally recognized, and this way Bhutan would benefit in terms of food trade.
The ISO IEC 17025 is the single most important standard for calibration and testing laboratories around the world. Aside from the accreditation, the biotechnology laboratory to determine presence of genetically modified organism in food and feed samples was inaugurated. Built at a cost of over 8 million ngiltrom with financial support from UN agencies, the laboratory will support testing guided by rules and regulations drafted under the Biosafety Bill of Bhutan. Biotechnology is an emerging global research and development phenomenon adopted and involves alteration of genes of crops, livestock, forest, fishery, and microorganisms in order to increase food production and combat pest and disease problems. Sonamfunso for BBS News.
Thong Nidup, commonly known as Condom Man, was awarded the SARC Champion Award 2012 in recognition for his efforts to raise awareness on HIV and AIDS on Tuesday. He received the award in Thimphu.
Describing the moment as beyond his expectation, this father of three says he is humbled. 45 years old, Thong Nidup was recognized for his dedication and selfless efforts. He can be seen driving a mobile van, distributing condom, raising awareness and educating community on HIV and AIDS. An associate lecturer with Royal Institute of Health Sciences by profession, he began his journey as the Condom Man in 2007.
Having the big experience in the health, so I thought to do in a very small scale just to promote condom so that I can help people in preventing HIV, AIDS, STIs, unwanted pregnancies and so on.
Unfazed by the name he is known today, Thong says the name in itself is an advocacy.
I really love to call me someone using Condom Man rather than my name, because condom, with that pronunciation, it gives them a sensation where what is the use of condom, why do we need to talk about it? So it's, after all, with the pronunciation of my name, it gives a message to every individual.
In 5 years, Thong has distributed over 100,000 condoms. He drives around in his mobile van plastered with posters and messages on the importance of using condoms, especially after office hours, during weekends and on government holidays. In 2011, he also received an award of appreciation during the World AIDS Day from the Health Ministry here. Sonamfunso for BBS News.
The unique traditional dress of Merak and Saktin Geoks in Tashkong is under threat. An increasing number of youth are no longer interested in wearing their traditional attire.
Merak Geok has seen a lot of changes in the recent years. The Geok has now access to electricity, mobile network, and a farm road till halfway. Life here has become much easier compared to the past. The living standard of the people have also improved, but the change is coming at a cost. For the people of Merak and Saktin Geoks in Tashigong, their unique dress represents their identity. Their dress is unique only to their community, and for centuries they have been preserving their traditional dress. But with modernization, it is under threat. Many people, especially the younger generations, are now not interested in wearing their traditional costumes.
Only
elders wear the traditional dress now. Young people prefer wearing other dresses. Maybe it's because they go to school and modernization is taking its toll on our culture. There was no school during our time, so we are not exposed to the outside world.
Efforts are being made to preserve their traditional costumes. It is mandatory to wear their traditional dress during official and public gatherings. But increasing number of people giving up yak and sheep rearing is making the matter worse. Since their costumes are mainly made from yak and sheep wool, it has become difficult to get the required materials to weave their dress.
Our clothes are made from wool, and sheep population has declined by almost 100% in our Geok, and a kilogram of wool costs 400 niltons. So our traditional dress has become expensive. Even if there are people who can sell, people like us cannot buy, since a set of men's dress cost over 6,000 niltons here.
And since the two geoks are already opened for tourists, the elder generations are further concerned of losing their tradition. Demanamge, PBS News, Kanglong.
In the final game of the friendly football matches, United Sikkim defeated Yedzin 4-2 on Wednesday. The friendly matches attracted huge crowds to the Changnamethang. The co-owner of United Sikkim and former captain of the Indian national football team, Baichung Bhutia, was the main crowd puller. Of the 3 friendly matches played, United Sikkim won only 1. The other 2 played against Drukpol and Simdra ended in draws. The friendly football tournament was organized by Weather Events in collaboration with the Bhutan Football Federation. Speaking to BBS, the head coach of United Sikkim, Nathan Hall, said he was surprised by the talent of Bhutanese football players.
Very surprised by the standard. There's a few good Bhutanese players that definitely have the potential to go outside Bhutan. But potential is one thing. The most important thing is hard work. And you work hard, then you get results.
Well, then that's all we have for you in this week's edition. Thank you for watching and goodbye.